Good morning, everyone. Y'all got y'all coffee, tea, whatever you're drinking? We got some things to talk about this morning. Because if you follow me over on TikTok, you know what I want to talk about. But before we get into it, Cassie, thank you so much. When I tell you that was right on time, because I've got to go to Lowe's and get some more paint for our library pantry. I sure do. And honey, that paint is none too cheap because I've been using the good stuff. And I want to work on it because we're expecting rain over the weekend. So I want to make sure I get those coats on there and dried, before rain hits. Someone ordered the acrylic paints. I don't know who did it. I was expecting those yesterday because I noticed they were gone off the list. And so after we get it, get the coat on there. She's coming along, isn't she? After we get the coat on there and everything, then we can put the vinyl lettering on there. I hope I have enough of that. Because I wanted to say free library on one side and free pantry on the other side. And the top part I want it to be a library, and the bottom part I want it to be a pantry. And then I'm going to use those acrylic paints to hand paint. I've been watching YouTube videos on how to hand paint books and stuff like that to put on there. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna start with a pencil first and then paint it on in, as I like it and everything. But it doesn't seem too hard. And like I said, back in the day, I have bad artists. So we shall see. But let's get to it. I got swatted yesterday. If you all don't know what swatting is when somebody sends the police to your house, basically, to stir up drama. And they do that by lying, and being misleading the police and being disingenuous because they basically just want the entertainment factor. Someone swatted us yesterday. What happened was our mail ran kind of late, which is why that thank you video was so late. The mailman didn't get here to, I say, somewhere between 5 and 6 maybe. And when he pulled up in front of our house, and I just knew, because I was expecting a few packages, but I didn't think it was going to be like it was the day before yesterday. And it was even more. And I don't know how, when I go back to check the list, how I'm missing all these things, these items disappearing. Because it seems like no one's ordering. And I don't know, maybe because the list is so extensive. And then the next thing I know, boom. It's so much stuff I can't even do the videos from my truck anymore. Because that's just how generous y'all have been. But anyway, the mailman pulls up, and so I see him struggling, and then he goes to the back and opens the bag hatch, and I think to myself, okay, here we go. My people they looked out. So he's struggling, and he puts the packages, and so I'm in my happy place. And my husband, who has also gotten involved, the last time I did something like this, he's always so supportive, y'all. I got like the most supportive husband in the world. And so he's become really involved with it and everything, and making suggestions, and and he thinks it's a great thing that we all are doing here. And anyway, so the mailman comes, he puts all the packages on the porch. And I tell my husband, oh yeah, you got a lot of packages to grab. And then the mailman leaves. He shuts the hatch and everything after he did all that struggling, y'all. He shuts the hatch and everything. And then I noticed that a dark color, a black SUV pulls up behind him. Then first they pull up behind him, and then I noticed they're on the side of him. I have the video footage. And then he's standing there talking to them, and then he's looking back at my porch. And then after a while, they drive off. The SUV drives off. But the mailman comes back to the porch. And I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I got one of their packages, or they've got one of my packages. That kind of thing happens. I wasn't alarmed, But the mailman, he came. And I thought maybe he might ring the bell or something, but he didn't. He just kind of stood there on the porch. And so I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. And I'm looking at this whole thing through the security footage, but he decided to leave. And so he left again. I thought that was weird, but we didn't think nothing about it. 5 minutes after he left, my husband was getting the packages. So those packages, they weren't out there any longer. They weren't out there a full 10 minutes. That's important. So anyway, he gets all the packages in the house. I open them up. I get ready to do my thank you video because I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what folks sent. And oh my God, y'all sent. So anyway, I don't want to get distracted. So anyway, right after I wrap it up, we hear the ring bell. Someone's at the door. And so I'm looking for my phone and I can't find the phone because the phone is in the stand because I just did the video, right? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to take this down. So I just go to the door. So we've got like a big picture glass window in our front room. So I'm seeing like a whitish SUV in front of the house. And my husband, he's coming from the other way and he goes, is that the police? Did somebody call the police? Is that the police out there? What did the police want? And now, let me explain. The last time the police came to our door and rang our bell, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. We lived in Michigan. And they were coming to tell my husband that a drunk driver struck and killed his mother. And it was obviously a whole big to-do. They attempted to air flight her to the nearest trauma center that could deal with that kind of damage. They couldn't because it was a winter storm happening. So they had to drive her 2 hours away. She didn't make it. Very traumatizing thing for him. And then I'm thinking, and I remember that night, and I'm thinking, oh my God, my kids, because they live in different states. And I didn't know until that night that when you have a loved one in another state, that if someone doesn't call directly on the phone, if they can't get in touch with you, that's what they do. They send the police to your house. So I was immediately thinking, oh my God, my kids, it's one of my kids. And so that was upsetting for us. But the officer, by the time we got to the door, because it did take me a minute, she was back here towards my carport. And she couldn't go in the gate because we have this really big privacy gate around our entire backyard, as a lot of you know. And so, but we saw her. She was starting to walk back away from the gate and the doors and everything. And I said, hello. And she goes, yeah. And then she comes to the porch and she says, petite blonde lady. She says, yeah, so one of your neighbors called and they wanted us to do a welfare check because they said that there were a lot of packages gathered on the porch. Now that wasn't a lie, because there were, but they were out there no more than, it wasn't 10 minutes. I promise you it wasn't. I want to say 5 because it could have been 6, but it could have been 6. Soon as the mailman drove off, Don went and got the packages. And then they said that they told a lie. They said that my car hadn't moved in days and that they saw no one in and around the house in a long while. That was a complete fabrication. You all know that because I have been back and forth to Lowe's. My husband goes to the mail every day. He works every single day. I am a medically retired person. I mind my business, okay? Northerners tend to do that. These Southerners, they on some straight different shit here. Remember when we went through the whole thing with the fence, when these new people moved in on the next to me? And if you don't know what that was about, my back porch is very decorative. It's where I watch my garden grow. I'm in my backyard a lot because I'm in the garden. And people can't see in the yard and they want to see in the yard. And I get that. And so when I was out there in the mornings watering all my plants and everything, and watering my garden, I noticed that I don't know who it was in the house, but someone was looking at me from the window. I could see, curtains moving and that kind of thing. And because I am a very private person, I prefer not to be stared at when I'm in my backyard because we bought a $4,200 privacy fence for a reason. We want our privacy. So I said, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I put up one of those. I specifically bought outdoor curtains, weatherproof. And I got them from Amazon. And I got them for free because I'm an Amazon product reviewer. That's important too. I'm an Amazon product reviewer. So I got them for free. And I put those up and it gave me privacy. I didn't like the way they looked. It wasn't, it didn't fit my aesthetic. But I want my privacy because that's more important to me. So when I did that, I guess I cut off their vantage point from the porch. And I guess, that upset them. So they built a deck, y'all, in response to that. And they built the deck so high where they could stand up on it. Standing up, they could look down into my yard, my whole entire yard. And I've got a really big yard. I mean, the garden, my porch, and everything. And I mean, while they were building it, honey, they were standing on every time I came out to my garden. It was that. And I don't get that. I guess it's just human nature. But as someone who's very private, very, very much so minds my own business, that it will always amaze me why people are so invested in people that they do not know. I could never be that invested in people that I don't know. I don't give a shit. I literally just can't give a shit. But apparently, we are something of an enigma to the neighbors because my back gate on this side, on the driveway on this side of the house, we have learned not to open it too much because if the people across the street are on the porch, and they're like really out with it. And in Michigan, when you get caught minding someone's, when you catch someone minding your business, they have the decency to look away. Here in the South, it's not the same rules. They don't play by the same rules. If you get caught, if you catch someone minding your business, they just stare harder. They just stare harder. I have seen people literally almost have accidents looking into my vehicle while driving their vehicle. That's just how nosy they are. I've never seen this level of minding someone else's business in my life until I moved to the South. It's different. And I have had this conversation before, and Southerners will come down into my comments and they'll just say, oh, that's because we think you somebody else, or it's Southern hospitality. No, it's not. It's sheer, pure fucking nosiness. Please. There was no reason. Listen, the packages were only on the porch for 5 minutes. Like, this person didn't even wait. When they pulled off, they called 911. When they pulled off. And it takes the police a little while to respond to a non-emergency call. So that was when they called the police. Otherwise, 5 minutes later, all they had to do was look out and see that the packages were gone and that my husband was out there. My husband's, he's usually out there picking up debris and pulling weeds or that kind of thing, or in his rocking chair, enjoying a cup of coffee. The lawn, I could see if the grass was overgrown. It was not. I could see if the weeds were overgrown. I have one of the most well manicured properties on the block. I don't say that but I say that because it's the literal truth. It's a very attractive property. I love curve appeal and I love doing my own thing and managing my own business. And I'm mostly in the backyard because if I'm not sitting and watching my garden growing, I'm back there, I'm praying, just in my garden. I'm just minding my own business, I'm not someone that's going to be in a neighbor's business. I'm not someone that's going to be in the neighbor's face. But anyway, when I went out there, after the police left, I went to see if anybody was looking to see if I could find the neighbor that called, because I wanted to have the discussion with them as to what would make them send the police to my home like that and swat me like that. So my neighbor across the street, who I do talk to quite often, we started talking about it. And I said, girl, yeah, someone just called the police. I'm surprised you didn't see it. And she said, no, we saw it. We were wondering what was going on. And she told me that one of the neighbors, a newer neighbor, we've got all these new people around here. And you know why that is? I know why that is. It's because rent is so unaffordable. People can't afford their own place anymore. So it's bringing more people into the community. And everybody thinks that multi-generational living is what's going to get us out of this. And no, that's not what's going to get us out of this. Demanding that housing be affordable is what's going to get us out of there. Doing that work, voting in the right people, voting for the right legislature. That's what's going to get us out of this mess. In the meantime, in between time, if you can stand somebody or tolerate somebody long enough to let them get their selves together while they're in your house, that's one thing. But it's bringing in a lot of noise. It's bringing in a lot more traffic. It's bringing in a lot more busybodies, a lot more nosy people that don't know how to self-regulate and mind their own business. But these were some older ladies. When I went back over the footage, these were some older black ladies. People thought it was white people because this is some shit that white people tend to do, calling the police on black people for no reason. But no. The people with the fence on the side of me, black people. This is a black neighborhood. And the people who called, yes, they were black too. It's a few white people in this subdivision sprinkled about. It's some Latinos, but it's predominantly a black community. And these were black people that called the police on me. In 2024, how do black people not understand that that ain't the move? We just went through this whole thing with Sonia Massey. A Tatiana Jefferson was murdered in her house because the neighbor did the same thing that this neighbor did to me, which was call the police because her door was open at 2:00 in the morning. They were getting some air. Her and her nephew were playing video games. Cop murdered her while she was in her house playing video games with her nephew. Breonna Taylor worked a long day, went to bed, and died. Botham Jean, sitting in his own living room, eating a bowl of ice cream, watching basketball, shot and killed by a cop. And y'all really doing this in 2024 and to other black people? And what? Over entertainment, jealousy, envy? What is it? I think that sometimes we can think that when people mind their own business, that they're easy targets for one thing or another. Excuse me. But let me tell you, honey, I'm far from an easy target. People will take kindness for weakness. People will take people who mind their business and tend to be more solitary as easy targets. I'm not an easy target. I am literally born and raised from the east side of Detroit. I've gone to court-ordered anger management 3 times. Court-ordered. I went to therapy for 10 years. There is this part of me that I keep locked away because I know how violent she can be. That's just real talk. What you're not going to do is play with me. Someone over on TikTok said, you can get a copy of the transcript on the Freedom of Information Act. So I went on the internet, I Googled it, found out all the information, found out what I needed to do. Then I called the non-emergency Columbia Police Department non-emergency number. I told the dispatcher what happened. And she said, oh, absolutely. She gave me the website and everything, told me what form to look for, she told me download it, fill it out, send it back. And she said, and we'll email you a copy of the transcript. And then someone said, take a copy and mail it to the person who called 911. No, I'm going to do you one better. Because at the end of the day, I'm a woman. And when I feel like a conversation is warranted, you sending the police to my door, doing something that dangerous to me at this day and age when it wasn't warranted, because what you could have did was just knocked on the door if you were so concerned. I find it very hard to believe that somebody that I've never said goodbye to or hello to, because they don't live on this block, they live on the next block, I'm sure, will be so concerned about me. And if you're so concerned about me, why would you lie to the police? Why would you actively lie to them? You're not concerned about me. You wanted to be entertained. I don't know what was going on in your mind, but we're going to talk about it when I find you. We're going to have a discussion. Because one thing I'm all about is educating black people. I'm all about educating black people. That's what this whole curbside library is about. I'm all about educating my people. So we definitely will be having a conversation about how we do not send the police to black people's house when it's not necessary. I'm so glad that sister told me, you can get a copy of that transcript. call the police, non-emergency number? And I can. And I can. I'm going to find you. And then we're going to talk about it. Black people doing this to each other? This house is well lived in. It's well loved. It's clearly taken care of. Why would you lie like that? They weren't concerned. I don't know why, what the reason was, but it wasn't concern. It definitely wasn't concern. I know I ramble, but I'm lightweight infuriated over the fact that another black person did that to me. I am. If you all would like to support the pantry project, I'll leave the wish list, the Venmo, and the Cash App down in the comments. If you'd like to just buy me a cup of coffee, same deal. Leave your thoughts, because I know this was a venting video. I apologize, but I'm just so infuriated over this. I've had time to sleep on it and think about it, and the more I think about it, the more upset I get. Because how dare you do that to a black person in 2024, knowing what that could be, what the outcome could be. Y'all have a good day, and thank you for listening.